We just broke the 170,000 of 300,000 mark. With that, we're going to throw it over to TNT, Truman, and Seathorne. Go fast, but slow enough for us to get to that 300K, guys.
Well, welcome everybody to Super Mario World 96 Exit. Before we get kicked off, since the runners can't talk, which means they can't hear us picking on them, we'll go ahead and just announce our runners really quickly. On this end, we've got TNT. We've got, in the middle here, we've got Truman. And on the other end, we have Seathorne. So without further ado, if you guys will join in for a little countdown, we're going to start from 3. We're going to go ahead and kick this game off right now. So that's going to be 3, 2, 1, go. So this is Super Mario World 96 Exit. There's a little bit of limitations on this category, but for the most part, we're going to see every single level beaten in every single way possible. And so we have a pretty easy start right here. We're going to start off with Yoshi's Island, and you're going to notice right away that they're going to skip about half of this world. We're going to see it later. But we're going to go ahead and get this kicked off with a few pretty straightforward stages. A lot of just running and jumping, avoiding enemies. A few things that you may notice if you've never watched Super Mario World speedrunning, things like they're going to avoid running off the edges of ledges because that will stop their momentum. They're going to lose some speed from that. Other than that, this is pretty straightforward right at the beginning. So that is 1 down, 95 to go.
The first trial of this run is coming up. This will be box jump, one of the first tricks that all SMW runners learn.
Deceptively difficult for being only the second level in the run. Actually maintaining full running speed, what we refer to as P speed throughout this level, is very challenging. And then on top of that, optimizing it in the little subtle ways that you'll see them doing can make this a very difficult stage to learn. I think that this is a huge roadblock for new runners.
And speaking of new runners, when you first learn this game, and especially if you've played Super Mario Bros. 3, you may say, where is the P meter? Because you're able to track that in Mario 3. Not so much in Super Mario World. You have to actually watch the way in which the sprite changes over time to make sure you're going maximum speed throughout.
We got a few small tricks throughout the rest of the first world, but if you've got a few donations, we might want to hear them for now.
We've got a ton of them. Anonymous No Comment is back again to the tune of $300, $150, $150, $500, $150, and $90. There's a $500 anonymous donation with a comment that says, I love watching GDQs. They're like the Olympics of gaming. As such, I'm always so impressed at the dedication that everyone puts toward it, even though it's for fun. Good luck. Save the frames. Proud of putting this towards a great cause.
You may have noticed that our runners actually never picked up a power-up throughout the first world. That's really honestly just to save a little bit of the challenge of this jump coming right there. It's a little harder if you're big. Other than that, for the rest of this run, we're really going to see them exercising the full powers of all of the power-ups available to them. So they'll go ahead and become Super Mario here, get Fire Flower in the next room, and throughout most of the rest of the run, we're going to see them with the Cape power-up. The Cape power-up is often considered to be pretty overpowered as far as Super Mario power-ups go. There's a lot of levels that we will end up flying over primarily, but not the vast majority of them.
And as a result of that as well, there are many categories of this game that do not use capes, so we can see the rest of the stages.
Pretty straightforward scripted fight from all of them. Beautiful sync. So now that we're out of World 1, we're going to start seeing our runners pick up the Cape. The Cape is coming up in the very next level, and from this point on, that's going to be our main mode of transportation. So if you want to throw us a few donations right now, that'd be great.
We have $250 from Mo the Lion saying, donating for the first time after watching hundreds of hours over the last years. Come on, people, if you got money to spare, support our favorite event of the year. DJ Laser seconds that with $200 saying OOT, OOT, OOT.
Yeah, we want to see that Ocarina of Time any % run, and there's not a lot of time left, so we're going to be keeping track of that donation incentive throughout the rest of this run.
Yeah, we're just shy of 181,000 of the 300,000 we need, so get those donations in now.
We can do that. We have a lot of exciting tricks. We have a lot of stages left, so, you know, pledge $10 per level. Do what you can for each and every yump. There's only 3 orbs, God willing.
You realize you're just asking for a reaction from the crowd when you put it that way.
I like playing with fire.
I see.
So we're heading to our first water level here. I think the water levels in Super Mario World are probably some of the more interesting water levels in the Mario franchise. A lot of them tend to be slow without any real options for speeding up. In this game, there's a lot of real subtle things you can do to save time. Things like carrying power-ups or carrying items in order to swim faster. Even really subtle things, like you'll sometimes notice that they will swim into the ceiling at such an angle so that they bounce against the corner of a ceiling. You can actually save just a little bit of time, mere frames even, just by pushing yourself forward subtly by swimming into the corner of the ceiling. I can't really think of a Super Mario game that has more technical water levels than Super Mario World. In fact, these are actually some of the most challenging levels for new runners to master because the routes that you take through them, the level of optimization that's sort of expected at this point is very significant. All 3 of them taking extremely risky strats in that ghost house. They're well practiced, so it was really no challenge for them. But there are much safer ways to take that. Flying straight through the boo cloud at the top of the screen can be extraordinarily challenging. So we're seeing all 3 of our runners take a more or less similar route through this game. One of the interesting things here is that you'll continue to notice one thing that I mentioned earlier was that they're not completing every single world. They're leaving some of these stages behind, and that's because in this category, there's actually a second pass of the world that you have to do after beating Special World. So they're beating half of the levels in the first few worlds right now, and then on their second pass, they'll clean that up. So there's a multi-pass. And that actually creates a lot of opportunities for routes and optimizations, ones where the routes may not necessarily One may not necessarily be faster than the other, but there's a lot of options for you depending on your skill level or what levels you're really finding challenging. The routes that all 3 of them are taking right now actually take them to this ghost house early, and the main reason for that is because these boo rings that are right here in this first room are very difficult to predict what they're going to do when you've been through a lot of other levels, but if you hit this level really early on in the run, you actually can predict what the pattern's going to be. This is actually where we're starting to see some of the examples of the power of the cape in Super Mario World. Not only does it let you fly basically unfettered, you can go for as long as you'd really like to, but in addition to that, it also provides a lot of opportunities for triggering invincibility frames off of enemies. So you have the opportunity to take sections that should be roadblocks for you and just fly straight through them.
Nice boo fights by all runners.
YoBGS, how are we doing on that Ocarina of Time incentive?
We're at 186,000, and that's with a $1,000 donation from Jonesing for Toast that just says, "Let's-a go."
So it is important to note that in this ghost house, there is an actual trick at the beginning where you can clip through the stairs, but we typically only see that in 11 exit runs.
Even then, that's an extremely difficult trick. It's part of, I believe, the task, but it's very difficult to manipulate such that you can do it consistently. Truman taking it really careful with that boo right in his face.
I just wanted to give the boo a kiss. It's okay.
There's other very small subtle optimizations that are happening in this world by virtue of them doing the level order in the way that they're doing. Things like this level that they're going into right now becomes very subtly faster. For the most part, these are very small optimizations that you only see from the highest level of play, but what's interesting is that because they are so small and so insignificant, new runners can really choose to do whatever order through these worlds they want to in such a way that gives them the opportunity to face the levels that give them the most challenge early on, and they can reset when they want to. Don't be fooled, by the way, for the levels that are getting flown over. Very often, those levels still present some challenges. For instance, in that one, gaining height quickly enough is a non-trivial affair. Actually, being able to gain height while you're flying very quickly can be very challenging. And so flying over the pipes that are at the top of the screen require you to not only get above the screen, but get a little bit further, which means you have to know how to manipulate the cape, even when you can't see Mario. There's other very subtle optimizations that are happening here. The runners, the speed of Mario actually is picked from a set of 5 possible values, anywhere from 47 to 51 sub-pixels per frame. And the idea here is that they want to actually manipulate it so that they get the fastest possible speed every opportunity they get. So even when you just see them flying and it feels like they're doing nothing, they're actually very subtly manipulating their flight speeds, trying to get that optimal speed, because it can make the difference for each of these stages between a 1 to 2 second time loss, depending on the length of the stage.
Now, there is going to be a planned landing here in this stage. This is why the runners are flying down so low. The objective is to get Yoshi, so then once Vanilla Dome 1 happens, we're going to have Yoshi wings. We'll get more on that later, but as to why these runners are landing, the reason is to get Yoshi here.
So before we head into this castle, YoBGS, how are we doing?
We are at about 189,000 of that $300,000 donation goal. And we have a bit of a proposition here from Random Hughes. They donated $576. They say, let's see OOT. Here's $2 per level, and to make it interesting, $100 extra per successful yump.
Oh.
I like that.
That's a lot of money on the line for these guys. Now, for those of you who don't know what yump is a phrase that's been coined in the Super Mario World community. Every single time they enter a Switch Palace, the end of the level is actually landing on the Switch, and it just stops the level immediately when you hit it. But there's actually a 1-frame window where you can jump off of the Switch, and you get this little jump animation right as the level ends. It's been affectionately coined within the community as a yump. It is a trick that saves literally no time. It is only for swag. And at this point, $1,200 is on the line, so.
Also, what about these Morton flies?
Fantastic.
Great job from all 3 runners. This is a very tough stage for especially runners that are beginning to play this game.
Yeah, being able to maintain that flight as you go vertically is incredibly challenging. You have to optimize where you actually want to land, how you maintain your speed so that when you do touch the ground, you can immediately fly again. The cape mechanics for spin flying are actually incredibly different than the cape mechanics for normal flying, and it's almost like learning 2 completely different power-ups when you really get down to it.
So now we're getting to probably the first major reset point if you were to do an RTA of this game, and this is Yoshi Wings. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Auth?
Yeah, so we're heading into World 3, and this is just a Olympics of difficult tricks coming up. The first one being Yoshi Wings. So what they're going to do is going to happen incredibly fast, so I really have to set it up. They're going to be duplicating blocks on top of this Yoshi coin so that they can create a block that contains Yoshi Wings inside of it. And the block that contains the Yoshi Wings actually has to be moved horizontally, because where it currently is placed will have a key, but if they can duplicate it to the left or to the right, they can change its contents, and duplicating it to the right will actually create Yoshi Wings. So 2 of them got it. Truman's still working on the last piece of it. This can be very challenging. While we see that happening, we see both Seathorne and TNT heading into the Yoshi clip that happens right here. Truman got key. That's unfortunate. He can actually go ahead and get the other exit in the stage right here and then go ahead and give it another shot. So at that point, he will be a little bit behind, but he will have 1 exit that the others don't have. So we see right here, Seathorne got through the wall and skipped straight to where the key is. This saves maybe about 15 or 20 seconds. You have to go around the level and come back to get here typically. TNT just getting it as well. Truman is heading back in to get Yoshi Wings. Keep in mind that he looks like he's behind, but he actually has 1 exit that the other runners don't have. Seathorne right there getting a trick we refer to as fast red. There's a very difficult trick that he did right there. TNT opting not to go for it, and that's one yump down.
One. No pressure, TNT.
Oh, okay. All right, so we are one yump out of 2 so far. Truman now heading into Vanilla Dome 2, which is the level that we just saw that Yoshi clip happening. You'll see Seathorne has to head back in there because he has to get the other exit. No Yoshi this time. He's going to be playing the stage more or less as intended.
There is a swag trick that can be done at the end of this stage. We call it sticky fly. Let's see if the runners can get that. Doesn't really save any time, but it looks really cool.
All right, so you see Seathorne there was trying to optimize that stage by holding on to an item throughout the water so you could swim faster. Only lost it right there at the very end. It can actually be very difficult to do that with an enemy like a Buzzy Beetle because the Buzzy Beetle...
There it is.
Yep, there's Sticky Fly. He actually can... he just sticks to the ceiling. He doesn't actually have to cape pump.
There it is again.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
Great work. All right, so Truman heading in for our 3rd yump opportunity.
And opting out of fast red as well. It doesn't really save that much time to go for fast red, and it's an exceedingly difficult strategy.
So let's see what we got here for this yump. Ooh, all right. So we're 1 for 3, not bad. It is a 1-frame trick. I'd like to see you do a 1-frame trick.
You got time for a couple donations?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got $1,000 from Itchy Inside saying, long-time watcher, first-time donator. I just got a new job and can't think of anything better to throw my money at than Ocarina of Time at a GDQ. And then $1,000 from BK51 as well. And that comment says E.
Thanks so much, BK.
Thanks, BK.
BK is a longtime supporter and member of the Super Mario World community. Awesome guy. So this is probably one of the more technical stages in the entire run that you see both Seathorne and TNT heading into. This is Vanilla Dome 3. This is all about opting out of these auto-scroller raft sections and trying to fly straight through them. None of them are trivial. All of them can be very difficult to pull off in a run. Doing them all successfully the fastest possible way. This is a huge reset point for a lot of runners.
That's all Vanilla Dome, really.
So he needs to pick up Yoshi right here, and he needs to carry this Yoshi. There's a lot of options for how you do this. They're going to be going for a relatively consistent one. Even the faster options don't save a ton of time, but what's nice about this strat is that it does allow us to hold on to the Yoshi for a later stage where he will be very useful for us.
And since we have some Yoshi riding going on, there's a $500 anonymous donation that says, "Ride that Onyx." I mean Yoshi.
Thank you. That was a great VD3 by Seathorne.
Yeah. And TNT, despite losing his cape, is actually doing a really great job cleaning this up. Doing this stage without cape, you can wait on just the skull rafts, but if you don't want to wait on them, pushing the cycles here actually can be very dangerous, and he's doing a great job with it. And he's all powered back up, so we're back in it. Truman now working on VD3 while both Seathorne and TNT are working on VD4. This stage is a relatively straightforward fly-through, and we're about to see Lemmy's Castle. So I'm going to mention one thing about Lemmy's Castle. Right at the beginning of the very next stage, you're going to see something really subtle that's kind of interesting. They're all going to spin their cape, and it's going to feel like it means nothing, but it's a very subtle manipulation on the camera in order to change the way Magic Koopa spawns. If they weren't to do that, Magic Koopa would spawn right in their face, but because of this, Magic Koopa will never spawn on the top in front of them. So we have a little bit of time. YoBGS, give us some updates.
Well, we're at about 196,000. We've got a ways to go. I mean, I know we like frame-perfect tricks here, but there's no reason to make this incentive be on the last possible frame. Free PBs are good, too. So let's hit that $300,000 incentive. $96 from Hayamoto saying 300,000 sounds like a lot, but if everyone who watched GDQ could donate even a single dollar, we'd set a new donation record. As someone who can, here's $1 per exit towards seeing the Ocarina of Time incentive met.
Thank you so much.
Nice cycle skip there by Seathorne as well. That one's kind of difficult to do, and if you do not try to crouch into that corner, you will miss that cycle and then end up taking a lava bath here.
So we have our fight against Lemmy right here. You don't see Yoshi with us, but he's waiting outside comfortably for the next stage, which we will use him in order to save a little bit of time. We've still got a little bit of time, though. This castle more or less speaks for itself, so happy to hear anything we've got.
We've got $250 from JRX1981 saying, we can't miss an awesome bonus run, can we? Ocarina of Time hype! And $150 from C2 Yoshi saying, how can you not donate for Ocarina of Time after seeing that sad torch face?
Look, you don't want to miss Ocarina of Time any percent, but you definitely don't want to miss Ocarina of Time any percent with Torch. All right, so coming up, we're heading into World 4, the Twin Bridges. The whole reason why we have Yoshi in the first place is because he saves us a little bit of time on the very first level. We can get legitimate Yoshi wings this time, not cheat Yoshi wings. And we're going to use that to go ahead and skip about half of this level. This right here you see Seathorne doing is one of the hardest tricks in the game. You got to bounce off of all these saws to get across this pretty wide gap, and if he's lucky, it'll all line up. And there's our Yoshi wings. Now, there are some options for some more difficult strats throughout this world, and we're heading pretty soon into Star World and Special World, which is where things are going to go completely off the rails. But if you pay attention on Truman's side, Truman is heading into World 4, and he actually has a strat that he's going to do in Cookie Mountain, which is the second level of World 2, that's going to really set the stage for a lot more tricks that we're going to see in Special World. Not too long ago, only a few years ago, I would say, some of these new tricks were found, or at least made viable for real-time runs from the task. And what we're going to see here is actually causing a glitched version of a Koopa Kid to appear in just a normal level, and then killing him will end the level immediately. And that's something that we're going to see pretty soon from Truman, and we're actually going to see from all of our runners in Special World. There's a number of different levels where we can do this, and depending on the level is how difficult it actually is to pull off. To my knowledge, Truman's the only one who's going to be going for the one in Cookie Mountain. We're going to see all of them go for the one in, one of the ones in Special World, and we're going to see two of them go for another one in Special World. So we have a few minutes of downtime. Twin Bridges and Soda Lake are both pretty straightforward stages, so I've got nothing interesting to say.
Well, I do. We have a $150 donation from Kaizo Man with a comment that says, E.
Hey, shout outs to Kaizo Man, by the way, for his hard work as well as the rest of the team for the blind Kaizo relay race that happened earlier in the week. He is one of the devs of that ROM hack. If you really like any of the modern SMW ROM hacks, by the way, you probably are a huge fan of his work and may not even know who he is, so he deserves a big shout out.
And a big shout out to all of the anonymous donors who are helping to get that Ocarina of Time incentive met. We have crossed 200,000. We're actually at a little more than 201 of the $300,000 incentive. Anonymous coming in with $125, $50, $50, $100, $250, $125, $50, and then $500, all from Anonymous with no comment.
That's awesome. By the time we're out of Special World, we're going to be at about the halfway mark, and we've gotten pretty far toward that $300,000 incentive, so make sure you keep them coming. I don't want to delay that sense of urgency.
And tons more donations coming in from Anonymous, all once again with no comment. I checked again here, we've got another 50, another 100, another 250, another 120, 96.96. That's nice. $100 from Anonymous, 50, 250, and $50, all from Anonymous, all with no comment.
Man, that Anonymous guy's got a lot of time on his hands.
And is a very generous person.
Very generous.
Well, we do have a comment with a $360 donation from Jojo Potato saying, get that Ocarina of Time, baby.
I think this would be a good time to talk about the practice card as well.
Yeah, for sure. This game was pretty optimized for a long time, but I don't think that this game would be anywhere near where it is now if it weren't for all the hard work that was put into this game by Dotzer Cool, who is the creator of the SMW practice card, and I think in a lot of ways really is responsible for this craze in the speedrunning community of a lot of the big name games having a really sophisticated practice card. While I think some of the other games had something similar to it, Dotz's was probably the most sophisticated at the time and has really set the stage for a lot of better ones coming out over time. The practice card for this game allows you to pick a level, make save states on console anywhere you want to, change power-ups, reset. You can even record replays and play them back later to watch them with a controller cam on screen, all on the cart. So it's a ton of work that went into it. He's been working on it for years and making constant updates, and I think he is responsible for the push that this game went from the 123 world record it had before to being a low 122 now and probably knocking on the door of 121 someday soon. Hit us with a few more, YoBGS.
We have a $300 donation from Adamantoys17 saying, I haven't been able to catch as much of SGDQ this week as I'd have liked, but I'm here catching the end of it, and it'd be a shame if I didn't get any donations in. Here's 300 more toward the Ocarina of Time any % run. And by the way, we're just shy of $210,000 now. You heard Oth mention that the halfway point's coming up in just a bit, so let's get that even closer to that $300,000. We do have an anonymous $96 donation as well, and $250 from Jason216 that just says OOT, OOT, OOT.
So you see here in Star World 5, we can actually fly above part of the stage. That's really good because flying toward the bottom of this would have a lot of obstacles involved. So it's really good that we can do that. And actually the last half of Star World here, you can see Seathorne doing what we refer to as zips in this stage because of the fact that these turn blocks actually close on top of you as you go through them, and the game can only keep 4 of them spinning at a time. The game actually ends up pushing you down very quickly, which can be both a blessing and a curse because for some of these longer sections, you can actually get very close to the kill plane at the bottom of the screen because the camera doesn't scroll as fast as you do. So it takes a lot of finesse to do this.
There's also an additional kill plane also in the center of the stage towards the beginning too. It's really easy to zip right into the center and die.
Yeah, any of those walls right in the center of the game, the turn blocks won't kill you, but the walls themselves, if you get pushed into one of them, you will die for it. So it's a low risk, high reward kind of strat, but this is actually one of those tricks in the game that's very hard to get good at. This looks very simple. You think it's just spin your cape, especially if you've ever played this game casually. You've probably accidentally done this before. It's very difficult to actually control.
And again, definitely more of an obstacle in 11 exit as well, this one.
Absolutely. So the level Seathorne's going into right now was one of our few actual water levels in the game. He's picking up a blue Yoshi just to help him swim. He's going to get the key exit here, but on the second pass, he's actually going to get the blue Yoshi at the very end and use it in order to move into Special World, where that Yoshi is going to be absolutely invaluable for all of the tricks that we're going to be doing. There's something about Yoshi. He is a broken dinosaur. Sorry, horse. You know he's a horse because of the way he lays eggs.
Would you like an update, Oth?
I would love to have an update, please.
All right, we're at more than $215,000, which by my math meant we got about $10,000 in just the last 3 minutes of the race.
Wow, thank you.
We need to kind of keep going at that pace if we want to get to that $300,000. We also have a $479 donation from Xander 479220. Just says he. No love for other letters?
All the SMW crew donating with a single letter. I wonder if I missed something.
Oh, you did. Yeah, we really appreciate. I mean, the GDQ viewers have very good taste if they're showing this much love and support to see Ocarina of Time any %. But it's going to take exactly this much love and support for the rest of this run if we actually want to see it happen. So please keep it coming. So one of the benefits of having a blue Yoshi, this is our first opportunity actually seeing a blue Yoshi that we're going to keep for any amount of time, is the fact that when blue Yoshi eats any shell color, he actually can fly, and this is a very useful thing to have. Even for runners that don't do the litany of difficult tricks that we're about to see in Special World, that ability on its own actually is leveraged really heavily throughout the rest of this world, so it's important to keep him. These runners won't need that ability quite as much because they're going to be finding other more creative ways to complete the stages, but it can be very helpful. So the first one we're seeing right here is Seathorne is going to duplicate these blocks again, and as I told you, the goal is to duplicate them on top of a Yoshi coin, so isn't this one conveniently placed? This is going to give us an opportunity to get Yoshi wings. The only difference is now he's not going to have to duplicate the block in any other direction, so all he's going to have to do is hit this block now.
I hope you didn't blink. You're going to miss a lot of these strats if you do.
Yeah, these are coming fast. So the next stage he's going to do pretty much the same thing again, but this one's actually a little more challenging because the block that he wants to duplicate is right against a wall and he needs to duplicate it towards the wall. So the only way he's going to be able to do that is to get this P-switch stuck in the wall. Unfortunately, the ability to hit that block is very difficult to actually pull that off. I think he's going to go back and try to get P-speed here. He was trying to find the P-balloon. That's what he was looking for. None of these runners have seen a P-balloon in years, so. TNT opting for the Yoshi wings. I assume I missed him missing out on the flying through the stage with the blue Yoshi. I assume I missed out on seeing him grab Yoshi wings. Seathorne having to go back for a cape. That cape is more important than pretty much anything else at this point, so he's going to be going for that at least. We saw Truman actually taking the yellow Yoshi through Star World 5. We missed that, but that's a slightly different route. It saves about a second just on overworld movement being able to do that. But the end result is if he can get that yellow Yoshi, it works exactly the same. And actually turns into a blue Yoshi once you get the Yoshi wings. So TNT now heading into Groovy. This is Awesome. This is the stage that we're going to be seeing in just a little bit for the actual Awesome Reznor kill. We're going to be killing a boss, but a slightly different one than usual, so.
There's Wings Factory on Truman's side.
Got it. An infinite number of wings. Same Wings Factory on Seathorne's side. So Truman now heading into Way Cool being one of the few instances in this game of legitimate non-cheat Yoshi wings. TNT already got his, now we see Truman going for his. Now there's a lot of movement coming up in the next stage for TNT that may not make a lot of sense. In this stage, he's going to be killing some enemies, eating some enemies, grabbing power-ups at certain times. All of this is in order to create a situation in which Yoshi is going to have a glitched out version of a Koopa Kid boss inside of his mouth, which will spit out, kill, and then that will end the stage immediately. That's what we're going for. Truman actually not managing to get the timing right for the jump he was trying to do in order to maintain his speed for Awesome Reznor kill. Seathorne missing it as well. This one's actually pretty tough. This is one of the newer ones that have been discovered, or at least made real-time viable. But this is going to give us another opportunity to see Truman going for Groovy Boss Kill, and also Seathorne going for Groovy Boss Kill. So I'm really hopeful that we're going to see it coming up. Again, like I mentioned, a lot of the movement that you're going to see is going to look like it doesn't make a lot of sense. He's going to drop power-ups, collect power-ups, stick out Yoshi's tongue, eat enemies, take hits from enemies. But all of this is to set up a situation in which Yoshi has a glitched boss inside of his mouth. Fortunately, he didn't get the cancel on Yoshi's tongue the way he wanted. Man.
Yeah, these are very tough strats to get into a marathon. I mean, even in RTA, they're difficult to pull off.
Well, one of the most challenging things is that these stages are very hard on their own. And so these strats Man, these strats being difficult as they are, you know, if you mess them up, if you lose your power-up state, if you lose your Yoshi or something like that, and now you have to actually play the stage as intended, that can be incredibly challenging.
And before Groovy, it's very punishing in Special World to lose any of your power-ups, as we saw with the return to Star World 1 to get a cape.
Want a quick update, Auth?
Absolutely,
Yes,
please.
Well, in the last 10 minutes, we have raised $30,000 toward the Ocarina of Time incentive.
Incredible.
It's sitting at a little more than $235,000 of that $300,000. That's courtesy of a $500 anonymous donation, a couple $250 anonymous donations, and $100 from Dance Dad that says, Dance Dad requests Ocarina of Time. Twitch chat, you better give Dance Dad what he wants.
Would you want to disappoint Dance Dad?
Imagine doing so.
So we're here cleaning up the end of Special World. Special World's last few stages don't have any crazy strats. A lot of them are really just understanding how to manipulate the cape in such a way that you can actually fly over the level, which is non-trivial in the extreme. You see Truman here going for the Mondo stage, which has this current that pushes you backwards. So you really don't want to end up in the water here, if at all. Oh. All right, YoBGS, let us know how it's going.
All right. Well, we have actually a little bit of a challenge here. We have a $100 anonymous donation that says, I think Ocarina of Time is overrated. Donate $5 if you disagree. And we have a $150 donation from Sai that says, let's make Ocarina of Time happen. We're at $237,000, a little more than 35 minutes into the run. Let's get that other 60,000 plus to get us to that $300,000 incentive.
So we actually have TNT back in Yoshi's Island now, heading toward the Yellow Switch Palace. So, you know, for those of you who are planning on pledging a certain donation per yump, we're actually going to see our fourth opportunity for a yump here. You know, Special World is known for being a huge run killer, really challenging stages. The Japanese name for one of the stages, I believe, is the Mario team is extremely impressed by your play. I think is one of the names of one of the stages. It's the names of these stages are meant to inspire a certain awe and fear, so.
Well, that's just outrageous. Someone had to go for it.
No. Cut the feed.
Thank you.
Nice.
You want to cut the feed before the yump? Thought you like charity.
Two out of 4 yumps down. Way to go, TNT.
Thank you.
We have a $350 anonymous donation that says, time to get hyped for Ocarina. Let's go.
Keep it coming.
We have $100 from Navi84, no surprise, saying, hey, listen, there's a boy without a fairy, and if we don't get some more donations, then it's going to stay that way. Here's some rupees from me to get us closer. We're at a little more than $237,000.
All right, so we have Seathorne right now coming up on Yellow Switch Palace. So we're going to have our 5th opportunity for a yump. Sorry. No pressure.
Would you say that was a one-frame trick, Auth?
It's all a one-frame trick. Every jump you make is a one-frame trick.
If you try hard enough.
There was only one frame in which you hit that trick. So over here on TNT's side, we see our first real major auto-scroller in the run. All the other ones have been pretty okay. This is the first big deal auto-scroller. There are some ways to save time throughout this, things like trying to enter pipes more quickly with your flight speed still intact. We'll talk about that when we get a little bit closer. Unfortunately, this can be a really slow-paced level, which is one of the reasons why you often see it on the second pass of this world rather than the first pass. You'd really hate to reset after spending 2.5 minutes on this auto-scroller. Truman also coming up on Yellow Switch Palace in just a moment. you're actually going to see TNT set up right here. He's going to go ahead and start spin flying. And there's a very specific reason why he's doing this. In this game, when you start flying, the game has a countdown timer so that if you touch the ground again, you can start flying immediately. That's preserved through pipes. So flying right out of that pipe is actually a little trick. Can be very difficult to do, but he managed to pull it off, and it saves a little bit of time.
Another yump opportunity coming up for TNT as well.
Truman. Oh yeah, TNT as well, both of them.
Yeah, green switch.
Double yumps. Oh. Is that the first one that TNT's missed?
I think so. Oh, there's one for Truman.
That puts us at what, 3 out of 7?
Well, in honor of those yumps, you want to hear something cool?
I'd love to hear something cool.
We have a $1,000 donation from Trun that says, hey, listen. And then we have a $1,024 donation from Alex M that says, great cause, great event, loving all the games on the home stretch. Let's make that Ocarina run happen. We are at more than $244,000. We're so close.
So this is sort of our lull in the run. You know, as much as it may not excite you to see a little bit of flying over, this is the really good point where the hands get a little bit of rest, and as soon as we get out of World 3 on our second pass, that's where this game really ramps back up. So an hour-and-a-half long run, you know, some of them are constantly going at all times, but this one does have a little bit of break, so I'd love to see some donations to fill that gap so we don't have to get so stressed out during the really intense parts of this run.
Well, let me tell you something awesome about that. In the past 15 minutes, we've raised $37,000 for that Ocarina of Time incentive. You take that to a 30-minute split, it's been $60,000, and in 1 hour, we've raised $112,000 toward the Ocarina of Time incentive.
Seathorne almost got the thick buzzy cradle.
We also have $200 from Dave50 that says, gotta see that Ocarina of Time run. Thanks, GDQ, for everything you do. And $100 from Rolfie saying, let's turn sad Torch into a happy Torch. OOT, OOT, OOT.
TNT's heading into the second of our more significant vertical levels in this run. Again, I just want to mention, because it's kind of important to recognize how difficult it can be to maintain vertical speed. He's got to get this cape in this stage right here first, but as soon as he gets out of that, we're going to see a pretty challenging level that he's going to have to do twice. He's going to have to fly up to the key here, so we're going to see red block thing, hopefully. That is a very narrow window to actually maintain your spin fly on the bottom of those stairs. That's really impressive to pull off. Probably hardest trick in Super Mario World, right? Nice. These runners are gaming out of their minds.
And in the meantime, we have $500 from Shane Camp that says OOT, baby. And $96 from Impulse 657 that says $96 for 96 exits. Let's get that Ocarina of Time incentive met. Just shy of $247,000. Let's go.
Only missed the ending part of that flight. That's a pretty good VS1 there for TNT.
Absolutely. So Seathorne now is heading into VD1 for a second pass to grab that key again. Gonna see red block thing here, hopefully. That's literally the name of the trick. Got it. So a few quick flyovers we're seeing here. Obviously, Truman and Seathorne both have a few stages that they need to work through, but I'd love to hear a few updates on how we're doing.
Well, we are just shy, like $112 shy of $250,000. We're entering the home stretch. Let's get those donations in there. We have a $155 donation from RDO5 that says $150 for Dance Dad and $5 to challenge Anon's overrated comment. Also, a $150 anonymous donation that says, what do you call a horse who speedruns Super Mario World? Why, a one-frame trick pony, of course.
I'm not allowed to boo because I have the mic and it's stressing me out.
So then I'm hearing get the puns in because you can't boo them. You're a captive audience.
Oh no.
I started this, didn't I? Okay, so we're coming up into Vanilla Fortress, and again, just another very difficult water stage, and really not a lot of objects to hang on to in the water, so it's just precise swimming throughout the entire stage, spikes everywhere.
Yeah, it's a little slower pace than a lot of the other water stages just because you can't pick anything up. One thing that you'll see them trying to do as often as possible is swimming into those corners of ceilings like I mentioned. It's very subtle, doesn't make a huge difference overall, but anywhere that you can save a few frames, save just a little bit of time, it's ideal. So they're going to be trying to hit these blocks in such a way that it pushes them forward. We call it corner boosting. I think now's as good a time as any to just go ahead and hit us with a marathon of donations.
You got it. We've got $200 from not really anonymous saying donating for Ocarina of Time incentive and towards the 2 million milestone. Thanks again, SGDQ, for an awesome week. We've got $100 from Akira Katayama saying this is an amazing run with Special World being the big breaking point for the runners. Here's a donation towards Ocarina of Time and a cheer towards Truman. There's still a massive game yet. You can make it your show once more. And Gospel Forte donates $50 saying Ocarina of Time Dance Dad %. I don't know if that's on the leaderboards yet, but $600 from Garrett 130 saying Ocarina of Time is my favorite game of all time. So here's my part of making that run happen. Greetings from Germany. And Garrett, thank you so much for the $600. We're at $253,000 of $300,000. Now is the time. Get those donations in. Let's hit that incentive.
Yeah, we're easily past the halfway point in the run, so they got to come in now if they're going to come in. As you can see, we have the excitement of Butterbridge 1 over here.
Thrilling auto-scroller.
I know, and it gets better as it goes. There's this one part where the auto-scroller speeds up just a little bit and then slows back down.
Well, you know what else is exciting? $500 from Ariel.
That is exciting.
And they say, pet that Navi. Huh. We've got a $200 anonymous donation, $150 anonymous donation, $180, $100, $200, $50, a chain of those, $150 from anonymous. They just go on and on and on. We're at more than $258,000.
Amazing. We missed it, but Seathorne actually managed to pull off a trick where if you spin your cape right as you enter that previous room, it actually despawns a thwomp. I don't understand how it works. I don't want to know. It's wizardry.
It is worth noting, too, that Resnor's hitbox is enormous. At least it feels that way when you try to go for a quick Resnor kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is one of those boss fights that if you do the strat by the playbook, it can go really cleanly, and going off script even a little bit can be a nightmare. I think part of it is more of a head game than anything because Resnor has a tendency to be more random than really anything else in this game. He shoots fireballs pretty much whenever he wants to and aims more or less at you and sometimes feels like aims ahead of you or where you're going to be. So whenever the fight goes off script, I think it's really, man, Truman got it as well. I think it's really easy to get in your own head about it, so.
Tons of $5 donations coming in as well. Haven't had a chance to read the comments yet, but they're all saying that Anonymous, who claimed that Ocarina of Time was overrated, is incredibly, incredibly wrong. So if you disagree with that donation, we need your $5 and we need to know that Ocarina of Time is amazing.
You can tell how bored a runner is during an auto-scroller by how many one-ups they get during it. All right, so finally getting to an actual stage here, Ludwig's Castle. No, the butter bridges are kind of boring in spots, so it's going to be nice to get back to a castle.
Yeah, so this is one of the stages where we're going to see this is the best stage to see the power of the cape. So in the first room, we're going to see a number of things. He's going to dive bomb to kill enemies, a great power. He's also going to manipulate his flight in such a way that allows him to go right through an enemy without taking damage. And then in this room right here, he's actually going to fly through this room. A lot of runners prefer to take Fire Flower through this so they don't have to fly underneath these potaboos. TNT opting to fly through it, but it can be incredibly challenging. It actually turns out that the curse in this level is going too fast. If your flight speed is too fast, you'll actually run into some of these enemies sometimes. Going straight into the Ludwig fight. 3 fireballs and a jump. You'll notice we didn't really mention anything about that, but if you've ever played Super Mario World, you are familiar with the fact that you have to jump on an enemy's head 3 times. It turns out that fireballs work the same as a jump, and the way that the game checks for whether or not a boss is killed is perhaps outside the scope of this commentary, but it ends up being the case that 2 fireballs and a jump will kill all of those bosses instantly. So you saw that already for Morton, we saw it just there for Ludwig, and we'll see it for Roy at the end of World 5.
Hey, listen. We've got a $2,001 donation from Ken Santasco saying, this is dedicated to the Marios that were down from day one. Welcome to Super Mario World. And with that, we are just shy of now $270,000 toward that.
We're so close.
Almost
We're
there.
so close.
I believe.
All right, so TNT now heading into Forest of Illusion 1. He's going to grab a Yoshi here, and we're very likely going to see him going for Yoshi wings on this stage. This is another set of glitched Yoshi wings. It turns out that the block we need is already present because there is a P-balloon block, but we can use that by duplicating it to the left. Unfortunately, to the left of that block is actually certain death, so he's going to have to be very careful in the way that he does it. He's going to manipulate this shell. He can still do it. It's not over. There we go. Duplicating blocks is already an extremely challenging trick, and on top of that, doing it when you're right over a pit that will kill you is even harder. So that is a tough trick. Done optimally, it saves a little bit of time. Very, very cool to see happen, though. And here is where we will really see the power of Yoshi clips. So TNT is going to try to clip out of bounds right here. There's only so much manipulation you can actually do for this, by the way. When you enter the stage, you can manipulate the odds of success up to about 75%. But after that, it's pretty random.
Yeah, when you go to clipping that wall, you definitely want to get in the first time because otherwise you're at the mercy of subject.
Now it's not over. He still has to grab this block without going in bounds. There we go. This allows him to swim a lot faster and will last him pretty much all the way up to either the key if he wants to get the key exit or the key if he wants to swim to the normal exit. So he's going to be taking the opportunity to go to the blue switch palace. So this is going to be our next opportunity for TNT at least, our last yump in the game.
Truman doing the cycle skip there on Ludwig. Well done.
Well, it may not have been a yump, but we did have a $288 anonymous donation that says $1 per exit per player, and now we're just shy of $274,000, a little more than $26,000 left to hit that incentive. We can get there, but we need your help.
Seathorne getting those wings on the 3rd try. That's still pretty good. It actually turns out that the end of that level is only, one screen to the right of that, so it doesn't seem like it would save a lot of time, but if you'll notice, every single time they actually cross a goal tape in this game, it plays a little music, does a little fanfare, it takes, something like 10 seconds, so getting the Yoshi wings, even if they're that close to the end of the level, still can save some time. Seathorne first try getting out of bounds there, perfect. Truman probably giving a shot to Yoshi wings right here now.
A lot of cape canceling here in Forest Ghost House as well on TNT side.
So Seathorne will still grab this key. He's heading to Blue Switch Palace. When we see TNT head back to Force Evolution 2, he's going to be grabbing the key again, but he's also going to be using it just to swim to the end. So it's going to be slightly different. All right, so another opportunity for a yump here. Oh. Truman trying to get out of bounds here. Remember what I said, you only really get the first opportunity to set it up, so after that, it's pretty random. He actually went for an even harder variant of that where he clipped on the left side of that hole. You actually have less time to line it up and set it up, so it's considered often to be the more difficult version of it.
Well, with the clips in stereo, you want to hear another donation?
I'd love to hear more donations.
We have $1,000 from our own Railcoon, who said, haven't donated this week. Seemed like an appropriate time. It's been a great week. Let's get Ocarina of Time in after Super Mario World. Auth and Sky, you're both doing great.
I think you're doing great too, Railcoon. No, you're breathtaking. Oh.
No.
All right, so we're just heading through a few pretty straightforward stages right now. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the more challenging ones once we get a little later in the world, but hit us with a marathon of donations. I want to hear all these people.
You know it. We've got $500 from JRX1981 saying, hey, listen, watch out. We can't miss the Ocarina incentive. And right now we're at $280,000, $20,000 to go. Let's get it. We have $123 from Save State that says, I've been practicing incentive manipulation all week, so here's my attempt at it. Well, you got us $123 closer, so I think that was pretty successful. $96 from Acoustic Curves 195 saying $96 for each exit to go toward Ocarina of Time. Don't disappoint Dance Dad. They wanted you to know that. And $200 anonymous donation that says Save Epona. Can do. Well, we can with a little bit more than $18,000. We're at $281,698 of the $300,000 goal. Let's get it.
So TNT has managed to build up just a little bit of a lead here. In Forced Evolution, not just in this world, he gained it and then maintained it, but there's actually a lot of stages to come. Some of the most challenging stages in this run are right toward the end, so this is still anyone's race. No one's out of this yet. TNT really just has to hold on to that lead if he wants to make it to the finish line, so.
Hey, Auth, we got $50 from Almost Anonymous that asks you a question. What's Mario's favorite type of pants?
I don't know. What is Mario's favorite type of pants?
Denim, denim, denim.
Oh, God.
Denim, denim, denim.
That was sung beautifully, by the way. Truman getting the left clip over there. We don't get a chance to see that one too often, but that one can tend to be more difficult for some runners.
I worry that my hatred of puns is motivating more puns. Do you get that impression as well?
Well, I'm getting just tons of love from everywhere. I mean, anonymous or anonymi donating 200, 250, 200, and I have to scroll past these, tons of these for all of the incredible generosity of everybody. In the last 15 minutes alone, we've raised $33,000 toward the incentive.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we have an auto-scroller right here, just for the first half of this stage that you see TNT working through, but the second half of the stage actually can be pretty technical. There's a lot of real subtle camera manipulation, flight manipulation that you're gonna see. It's all gonna go too fast to really commentate exactly what you're seeing, but it's actually a relatively technical stage that you're about to see coming up. So here he's going to go for it. As soon as he enters this door, you're going to see him manipulating his camera just a little bit so that he can fly over these potaboos, then fly through here, and then spin fly through the rest of this, trying to bounce specifically on the lava bubbles that are popping up.
Nice speed commentary.
I'm doing my best.
Those dang hitboxes.
Reznor living up to his reputation pretty much as always. Shout outs to Team Reznor. All right, you gotta make it back. Oh. I held my breath during that. I don't think it helped.
Well, as you said, if you go off script, that battle can go south really quickly.
Even on script, that boss fight goes wonky, and when it does, it just feels so hard to recover. It seems like such a straightforward boss. It's 4 dinosaurs riding on a spinning platform, but there's just something about it. The way the platforms push you around, the way that you can kind of get clipped a little bit through the floor if you're too close to one of the platforms, the way that the space is so tight and Reznor is always targeting you, it makes it a terrifying fight to go even a little bit off script. And sometimes it goes off script within the first frame of that fight, so.
Hey, Off.
Yeah, hit me.
You got a few seconds for about $5 grand in total?
I think I might be able to find time.
We have $2,000 from Germ128 saying, come on, let's make sure Ocarina of Time doesn't run out of time. $1,000 from Peter Richmond 28 that says, shout out to all the streamers taking their time to put on a great show and raise money for a great cause. Much love to you all and keep up the great work. We also have $1,021 from Duranthal that says $1 per second in the current Ocarina of Time world record. And finally, $1,000 from Bran1 saying, hey GDQ, this 96 exit race is amazing. Shout outs to all GDQ runners for putting on such a great show for charity.
Seathorne got real scary there for a minute.
That very last hit.
The Reznor fireballs are drawn really big, but their hitbox is actually incredibly small, and so you sometimes get into those very terrifying moments where you don't remember that detail because instincts kick in.
And we are at a little more than $289,000. So a little more than 10 grand to go. Let's hear how much you want the Ocarina of Time run.
There's no way you can slow down now. We have to get there. TNT managing to pull off a very, very clean Roy fly. This stage should be so much slower with the moving block snake, but flying through that is really non-trivial, really challenging to pull off. And he made it look effortless, as so many runners often do. Make no mistake, there is nothing trivial about that stage. All right, so with Truman cleaning up Forest Fort, Seathorne heading toward Roy's Castle, and TNT heading out of Roy's Castle, we still have an extraordinarily close race. We're only seeing a difference between first and third of, 2 or 3 stages. So this is still anyone's race. Some of the hardest levels in the game are coming up in Chocolate Island, coming up in Valley of Bowser, coming up on the Bowser fight itself. So this is still anybody's race. And the tricks that we're going to see coming up toward the end of this run can heavily swing in either direction. So you see right here what TNT is doing is he's actually maintaining his spin fly because he wants to enter this pipe right here with his flight trigger still intact. He didn't manage to pull it off, but look at the speed that he comes out of that cannon with. If he could only maintain flight coming out of it, he'd actually be able to end the stage quite quickly. So that's what we want to see. Another great Roy fly from Seathorne. Seathorne actually managing to keep the flight all the way to the end of the stage. A little added bonus. 2 fireballs and a jump.
The second part of that stage gets very difficult as well because of the different despawns that can happen throughout there. You don't know what your obstacles are going to be to fly through on the second half of that level.
Yeah, if you really know what you're doing, flying through the stage is actually the most consistent option just because some of those platforms, some of those enemies, some of the things that are in the latter half of that stage can despawn. And it's one thing for an enemy to despawn, it is another thing for the platform that's supposed to keep you from falling into a pit from despawning.
Now, this stage right here, Chocolate Ghost House, is not trivial either, even in flying. You don't have a lot of space there, and at the top of that stage is actually a pipe that Mario can crash into, sending you into the boo.
TNT going to take a little damage boost right there, just to spin to the top of that room. Really handy. Truman trying his hand at the Roy Fly, nailing it, no problem. You have to dive bomb in order to make it underneath the lava bubbles, but then you have to pull back up at the right time. The timing can be extremely difficult to nail. Seathorne entering that pipe with his flight trigger intact. See how fast he's flying. So much faster than anything else you can manage in Super Mario World. Even with the pipe transition costing him a little bit of time, this is still faster than completing the stage as normal. Saves about 1 second or so, but it just looks good.
Well, we've got some rallies going on as we are now less than $3,000 away.
Wow.
From Ocarina of Time. That included oh, excuse me, we just hit $300,000.
Thank you so much, everyone. Well done.
And that included $1,234 from Direct Rix 13 that said, I used to try to beat Mario World all the time in those limited kiosks at Walmart. I couldn't afford to buy the game then, but I can afford to donate to a good cause now. Thanks everyone for doing this. Also, Ocarina of Time.
Thanks everyone for making this possible. So we have TNT working his way through Chocolate Secret. We actually have Seathorne right now working on Chocolate Island 2. Chocolate Island 2 being a very unique level in that every single room is dependent on what you did in the room before it. So for instance, the number of coins he collected in that first room determines what room he's in now, and the number of seconds on the clock determines what the next room is going to be. And it turns out that if you go as fast as possible, you'll get the key exit. So that's how we ended up getting the key exit here, despite the fact that this level's supposed to have more than one exit. So not quite ready to head out of this world yet. TNT makes his way back because we got to clean up the rest of these exits. This is 96 exit after all. So he's heading back into Chocolate Island 2. Because of the fact he's going to have to wait on the clock anyway, it doesn't waste a lot of time for him to go ahead and get a bunch of coins in this room. This will actually enable him to enter a different room as the second room, one that has a cape for him, so he can have a backup cape. This is really good marathon safe, race safe strats, so that he has a cape as backup whenever he needs it. So he has to just wait here for the clock to hit 2:49. He's actually going to move a little bit earlier than that. He wants to set up flight speed before he enters the pipe. That way he can just enter the other side of this pipe with the flight already enabled. And this gives us a completely different last room, which contains a gold tape that gives us the normal exit now. So he's going to be able to proceed on with Chocolate Island. Our other runners are still working on the beginning half of Chocolate Island. Hey, YoBGS, what's our actual donation total?
Our donation total is $1,855,156. So now that we've gotten the Ocarina of Time incentive met, the $2 million incentive is
It really
next.
just feels like it's so close, right?
I know, it's right there. I mean, we just got $300,000.
And people have already shown what they're capable of doing in such a short amount of time. It really feels like there's no way we can make it out of this game without hitting 2 million.
I wouldn't think we could. And by the way, Random Hughes did make good $400, saying 1 out of 3 yumps. Super impressive. Well done, runners.
Very well done. All right, so that completely useless exit has led us right back to Chocolate Island 3, take 2. But it turns out that wasn't the exit we actually wanted to get. The exit we want to get is a little further in the distance. One of Super Mario World's little trolls for you. You take the exit and you realize that it's done absolutely nothing. So you have to figure out where to go from there. Turns out he's actually just going to fly over this exit, see ya, and head straight to the next one. Which is going to lead us into probably one of the more technical stages in this game, Chocolate Fort. Actually making it efficiently through the first room of it is very challenging. It involves a lot of understanding the way the obstacles in the stage are timed, understanding the way things spawn, and how to manipulate the camera, actually. So he's scrolled the camera without you noticing so that he could get through those obstacles before they spawned, and now he has to really carefully move his way through all of these. That was perfect. Absolutely wonderful. It doesn't take much to lose your momentum in that first room, and if you lose your momentum once, it can be very hard to recover it, so just cleanly making it through the whole room is very challenging. Seathorne now cleaning up Chocolate Island 3, Truman finishing up Chocolate Island 2. We're still very close to one another.
Nice press,
only a few exits between each other.
Very much on script for that one.
I feel like we've seen not very many Reznors go on script, really by no fault of the runners either. All it takes is a few fireballs too many, and it really causes you to just freeze and watch it, and that's when everything starts to go south. So these runners have done a really good job trying to stay stable as Reznor consistently tries to go off script. TNT making short work of this stage, all about spin flying and knowing where you can land in order to make the motions you need to. He actually intentionally ran off of that ledge there because he still had his flight timer, which caused him to go into a dive bomb. Very subtle movements, but they make a huge difference in how you're able to move through a stage.
It's also a great stage to learn how to spin fly.
Yeah. Ooh, Seathorne having to back off just a little bit, but still with some great backup strats he had prepared in order to make it through there pretty quickly. All told, for where he got hung up, that was still a very clean room altogether.
Getting Yoshi again here on TNT side for Valley of Bowser 2 for a normal set of wings.
Yeah, we're gonna hold on to this Yoshi for a little while. We need them for Yoshi wings coming up, and we don't have any other great place to get him, so we're just going to have to carry this very good horse with us.
And up next, Wendy's Castle, another very technical stage, and so soon after Chocolate Fortress.
Yeah, this is where a lot of the stages in the game really ramp up. Great fight from Seathorne. So there's a lot of options for the strats that our runners can go for here. Yeah, it looks like TNT was going for that crusher skip right there. He had to damage boost off of the saw blade in order to actually get under the first crusher. Otherwise, it would have killed him instantly, irrespective of his power-ups. Truman now going for Chocolate Fort. Again, a very challenging fort to do cleanly. Absolutely nailing the movement through here. Wonderful. That was a perfect room 1.
TNT also getting a perfect room 2 in Wendy's Castle.
Now, if you pay really close attention, you can actually see Wendy's feet spawn underneath the pipes to tell you where she will actually spawn. I don't think that that's intended. It just so happens that it's one way to know where she's going to spawn before she shows up. That fight can go really sour. But TNT making it look easy.
This would actually be a great time for some donations.
You know it. We've got $1,000 from JDW254 that says, what's Mario's favorite musical? Mamma Mia. Now let's play Ocarina of Time. We need Malin to help us milk these puns for all they're worth. And a question for you, Authorblues, as soon as I can find here. Why does Mario collect coins while flying?
Why does Mario collect coins while flying?
To pay his Skybilz?
Oh. I have to boo that one, I'm sorry.
Yo, I'm straight up having a bad time.
But think of all the money you raised for charity having a bad time. That's a good time.
So these hits that you're going to see TNT taking off of Yoshi right there are actually calculated. You may not think that, but this has set him up timing-wise for getting this boo cloud to spawn in a very specific way. He wants the final time that the boo cloud despawns to be the same time that the Yoshi ring, the boo ring is on screen, and that's gonna make that first boo ring that he should be swimming through right now disappear. A Yoshi ring sounds way more terrifying. It's a little time save. It wouldn't have been a huge issue because he has a Yoshi, actually. He would have been able to just force his way through the ring. But it is a time save and not too hard to set up either. If you just take 2 really quick hits off of Yoshi, it sets up the timing really, really well.
Now it's time for the original orb. I want everyone to get ready in chat, everyone to get ready here live. Here we go. You want it. You asked for it. Orb!
Orb.
We need Dode here.
All right, so Truman giving a shot to Windy Room 2. This one's all about understanding the way these cycles work in this room. You can make a few mistakes and still make it on the fastest possible cycle, though obviously it's faster to fly through the whole thing. But there are a few spots where if you were going through this normally, you would get really caught up. And so being able to push through those cycles as quickly as possible guarantees that you don't get hung up at those spots. So you can see Seathorne here taking a few quick hits again. 1, 2. And that's usually just the right amount in order to set this up. There's a few visual cues that our runners know for identifying whether or not they're lined up correctly. You can tell based on where the boos themselves are actually spawning, so they can visualize that. And there's actually a few safety measures that they can take as well to make sure that it works. That's perfect. So one of the boo rings didn't despawn. Unfortunately, I'm not going to really be able to demonstrate the boo ring being there because I'm sure our runners are all going to get it pretty easily. So I'm sure I've just cursed Truman. But his loss is our game.
This is why you get puns off.
Yeah, I deserve it. So TNT is now going to be grabbing our last set of real Yoshi wings.
Thank you, Seathorne.
We got time for a quick one?
Go for it.
Yeah.
We've got $3,000 from PJK. And this may have been the one that put us over the top because they said, can't let that ocarina run languish. Let's get there. And then they said, OOT, OOT, OOT.
Thank you to everyone who donated for the Ocarina Time run. That wouldn't have been possible without each and every one of you. TNT made absolutely short work of the trick in this ghost house that we refer to as door fly. You can actually maintain your flight through that door and do a very risky strat that he pulled off almost effortlessly in order to get to the key exit. We're going to see it probably coming up again with Seathorne and Truman. It's a strat that a lot of runners like to go for because it's not that difficult once you sort of know what you're doing, but it's a really cool trick to see done well. Orb. So Seathorne grabbing wings, TNT making quick work of Valley of Bowser. He's already on Valley of Bowser 3, heading into Valley of Bowser 4, which is 2 exits, and then he's going to have to clean up a castle. Really making short work of this world, doing a fantastic job. The stage that Truman's on right now, by the way, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it, Valley of Bowser 1, all about understanding how Yoshi flying works. You can move over enemies really effectively, you can eat these mega moles, you can do a lot of really cool things with Yoshi. It can be very challenging to pull off.
The hitboxes are also very unforgiving on the mega moles, so if you try to eat one of them and are going too fast, you will lose your power up.
All right, so we're probably gonna see, I don't know, not looking like it. Yeah, I guess I already missed Seathorne's door fly. I'm sure it was beautiful. Thank you. We'll see one more of them from Truman. Meanwhile, Seathorne is heading into the rest of Valley of Bowser. And TNT is going to clean up Valley of Bowser 4, and then we're going to be heading into the castle. Larry's castle, honestly, I don't know what to say about it. I know I've spoken about the technical difficulties for a few of these stages, but I think, in my opinion, Larry's castle's second room is probably the most technically difficult stage in this entire run. Here we go. Truman is setting up his flight speed for being able to go through the door. Didn't actually manage to get it. Still has to fly through this gap up here. You're supposed to take a block snake in order to be able to jump through this hole. But if you know what you're doing, you can slide right through there. So here we go, TNT heading into Larry's castle. The first room is certainly no slouch, but the second room is really impressive to watch. There's going to be a lot going on. Honestly, one of the big challenges being Magikoopa's randomness and learning how to deal with that. So he's going to scroll the screen first so that he can get through these first two pencils. We've already talked about the challenges that those presented when we saw them in Chocolate Fort. But now he has to actually manage to spin through those walls of turn blocks and get through Magikoopa wherever he spawns. Wonderful. Magikoopa, as always, out for blood, and we'll have none of it.
You also want to be careful to not spin fly through the blocks in Larry's castle, because you can end up taking a death by zip flying through the bottom of the stage. It's happened to quite a few of us by this point, and that's right at the end of the run. It's brutal.
So they've got to maintain at least one Yoshi through Valley of Bowser 4. Valley of Bowser 4 famously having the spot right at the very end where without a Yoshi, there's no way to get that key. Well, don't tell that to the Tassers, but without Yoshi, for normal people, there's no way to get that key. But by Yoshi, we don't need him now. Truman going for Valley of Bowser 4. He'll get the key exit this time. And now all that's left for TNT is just to clean up this very last bit of Valley of Bowser. He's got to go ahead and do the normal exit on this, or the key exit on this stage, and then he's got to do Valley of Bowser Fortress. So here we very well may see, yeah, he's setting up for a trick for him to clip out of bounds in the sandbar. It's a 2-frame trick. He ended up taking a little bit safe, which is a really smart choice to make, because if it goes wrong, it just kills you unless you set up very specifically for it, so.
There's actually 3 opportunities as well to clip in this sandbar.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to make mistakes.
And of course, questioning life choices as well.
So Seathorne making short work of Larry's castle, out of it and heading into the last little bit of Valley of Bowser. We're almost to the end of this 96 exit run. Our runners have had 94, 93, 92 exits already completed. We're right at the very end of it. So if you want to take a few donations, love to hear them.
Sure, we have $2,000. From Alaskan Emily that says, greetings from Alaskan. Well, greetings and thank you. We also have a $5 donation from Cure Light Wounds that says, I can't come up with a pun. I'm having author blues.
This one didn't involve me, so I'm not booing.
I can respect that.
We had a $500 donation from Ian Boswell, who said, here was for 50 folks in Twitch chat who weren't able to board that $10 train that took place back at the 1 hour mark and was huge for getting us toward that $3,000 incentive.
A nice clean Reznor fight from TNT, which is sending him straight into Bowser's Castle now, the final boss fight. So we're going to have time for our runners when we see Peach appear from Bowser's clown car, so definitely be ready for that. But in the meantime, we have Seathorne heading into Valley Fort, an incredibly challenging fortress to pull off. We have Truman heading into Valley of Bowser 2, which has this sandbar section, which we may see Truman be able to pull off the trick that our other two runners went for. We're gonna see what we've got.
You got time for one more real quick?
Go for it.
Sure.
We have a $10,000 donation
Wow.
from the Yeti saying, hey all, Yeti here. I'm so proud of you for unlocking that Ocarina of Time run. Thanks to your orders, we have $10,000 to try and get that to 2 million before the end of this amazing Super Mario World race. I know we can do it. Let's go. And we're at 1.87 million.
All right, so the whole goal for this Bowser fight is for each of the phases, we want to try to hold on to a Mecha Koopa in between them. We can often upset his intended patterns if we can save one. So in this case, for instance, he's going to try to hit him with a Mecha Koopa right before he would throw his second bowling ball. If he can hit him at just the right time, we'll actually skip that bowling ball entirely, which can save a little bit of time. So he's going to fly up and try to drop it on his head. Right when he would stop to drop bowling ball, it completely skips that entire action. And again, he's going to try to hit him instantly with one of the Mecha Koopas and save the other one for the next phase. That's the goal. Seathorne now entering this boss fight. This boss fight taking a few minutes to finish up. There's a lot of technical movement through this boss fight. It's not too challenging casually, and honestly not too challenging for a speedrun, but getting this done optimally can be very difficult. So he's flown up, landing that last hit, and we're coming up on time on TNT. Time. Great run, TNT. Truman finishing up the Reznor fight. That fortress is nothing to scoff at. Very challenging to pull off consistently. Whoops. That's not the end of the world. The main issue that's going to present is he's just not going to be able to skip this ball cycle. Otherwise, everything should more or less go as expected. Oh, you didn't know you could kill the bowling balls in this? Mario's belly slide is the most powerful weapon in the universe. All right, so Truman just now wrapping up phase one of this fight of 3 phases. And like I mentioned before, the goal is to hold on to this Mecha Koopa. Being able to have this Mecha Koopa saves a ton of time. Seathorne, by the way, also heading into the 3rd phase, so we're going to be getting time for him soon as well. And this 3rd phase is going to go pretty much on script because he has that saved Mecha Koopa. The 3rd phase is also the easiest of the 3. It can go wrong, but it's less likely to. What? Trying to make a time on Seathorne. Truman now heading into the last phase of the fight as well. Sorry, Seathorne. Commentators cursed like 4 times there. So he's going to fly above the screen. There's a specific cue he has to land directly on that Mecha Koopa. And time. Hey, let's get one more for our runners, please.
Also, thank you to everyone who helped us reach that Ocarina of Time incentive.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. This run's possible because of you guys. So thank you so much one more time for getting us to that Ocarina of Time incentive. Thank you for getting us so close to 2 million. We're right around the corner, so keep them coming. Thank you also to YoBGS for being such a great host during this run.
Well, thank you to Austin Skybilz for being amazing couch.
That's it. Ocarina of Time any % up next.
And the donations came in with incredible speed. But first, let's give it up one more time for Seathorne, Truman, and TNT. Without their unbelievable skill, there's no way we would have gotten to that $300,000 mark for Ocarina of Time. Got a few donations for you here real quick. An $1,100 anonymous donation. Anonymous, thank you very much. $200 from Sathara that says, hey, listen, well done, Twitch. Incredibly well done. And of course, when it comes to incentives, this GDQ, we are not done yet. That amazing $300,000 Ocarina of Time incentive has been met, but we still have one more to upgrade Chrono Trigger to a 100% run. Loving the hype for that. We need $250,000 to make that happen, but we've already got a little over 62,000. So you can get those donations in if you want to bump up Chrono Trigger to a 100% run. Ladakh 2 does. They say, I don't know anything about Chrono Trigger or what 100% completion implies, but if it's half as fun as Puexel's FF6 run a few GDQs back, I want to see it. And that was with a $1,000 donation. Thank you, Ladakh 2, and we will get back to some more of your unbelievable comments in just a second. Welcome back to SGDQ2019, powered by Twitch. The hype is coming in strong and fast already for that Chrono Trigger 100% upgrade, including $150 from Jordan Harding that says, now that we've hit that Ocarina of Time any % run, let's try to get that final goal met. Chrono Trigger 100% hype! And we also have $150 from Grumbled saying, let's get Chrono Trigger 100% online. A longer speed run is always the answer. $100 from Javen55 that says, I tried to donate for the Ocarina of Time run, but you all are just too fast. Donation goes to the 100% Chrono Trigger run for more GDQ. And we will be checking out that Ocarina of Time run coming up here in just a little bit, which received a $333.33 donation from Triforce of Courage that said, Heroes of Hyrule, hear my call, donate now. Dan Stad has requested our assistance. Now we're going to turn it over to a couple ads real quick. We will be right back. I've been YoBGS. Thank you all for an unbelievable SGDQ 2019. It has been unreal. Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm OmniGamer, and I wrote my new book Speedrun Science to help newcomers and veterans alike through the full process of investigating, routing, and performing speedruns. I also introduce speedrunning's rich history, how its rules evolved, and a whole lot more. Better now at fangamer.com.
Okay, everyone. Hey, this is Kung Fu for Cup here. Following up from our amazing previous host. He did an awesome, awesome job. So we have a $150 donation. This is from Grumbeld, who says, let's get Chrono Trigger 100% online. A longer speed run is always the answer. We also have a $500 donation. This is from Misfortune 500, who says, OOT hype? We've got a $25 donation from Orange Nova, who says, now that OOT has been met, I guess we can think of some Chrono Trigger puns for 100%. I'll trust we can think of some. All right, we are now gonna throw it over for an interview. This is with Andy and Ivan.
It's prize season.
Sen, we have an interview to do.
Oh, sorry.
It can be prize season later, okay? All right. He might be back. You never know with Sen. But look, we have got an interview here with Andy and Ivan, who are going to be running Super Metroid Link to the Past Combo Randomizer coming up soon. Hey guys, thanks for joining me.
Hello. Of course, pleasure to be here.
I think everyone's already pretty hyped about this run. It's probably one of the most different things we've seen in GDQ in a while. I mean, being co-op and being combo randomizer shown off. So I think that's going to be pretty fantastic. But can you tell, for the people who haven't seen this before, what is a combo randomizer for these games?
Go ahead. Me? Okay. So if a lot of people are probably familiar with the base Link to the Past or Super Metroid randomizers in general. All the items are shuffled around. In Link to the Past, all the crystals and pendants are shuffled around in different dungeons. And this actually started out as a joke.
Long time ago.
Yeah, we didn't think this was even going to be possible. And our pal Total, he started doing some research, and he found out that the Super Nintendo cartridge has 256 memory banks. And Link to the Past uses banks 0 to 32, and Super Metroid uses 128 and up. So he's able to basically put them together with a bunch of unused memory, and it creates basically an 8 megabyte ROM, which do exist. I believe Tales of Fantasia and maybe a few others are 8 megabytes, but he was able to put them together, and we now have we can find the Link to the Past items in Super Metroid and vice versa.
So it's just luck that those two games happen to be different in the way they use the memory banks to the point where they don't intersect with each other. Just dumb luck.
I'm not sure. He mentioned it might have been possible if they hadn't, but it would have been a lot more work for sure.
Right. Cool. So now at this point, you've got items from one game in another game, vice versa. So you guys are going through both games. How do you get between the two games in general? Like, how do you switch from one to the other?
So there are 4 portals in each game that are always the same. They're always, connected. Like going through a Super Metroid door will always take you to somewhere in Link to the Past. There's a Criteria and House Outside Link's House. There's Death Mountain and Upper Norfair. There's Misery Mire and Lower Norfair. And then there's Ice Rod Cave in the Dark World. It takes you to Meridia.
And the logic goes across all the items in both games, across both worlds. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's pretty fantastic, I'd say.
Yes.
All the orbs make for some pretty interesting routing.
Cool.
It's prize season.
Done. Sen, it's not quite prize season yet. It's almost prize season. All right, guys, but you're coming from a background of Super Metroid, Ivan, and Andy, you're coming from a background of Link to the Past. Mm-hmm. So what was it like for you, Andy, to be learning Super Metroid at a high level?
They're both difficult games, but they're both very different.
Yep.
Top down there's Link to the Past has a bunch of movement tech, and none of that applies to Super Metroid at all. It's completely different.
You had some experience at least playing the game before, right? But not at that level.
It's just Super Metroid is a hard video game.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah.
Now, Ivan, did you find that going to Link to the Past, that was a really hard video game compared to Super Metroid?
We both ran both games. Obviously, I'm much more versed in Super Metroid and Andy Link to the Past, but we've both done runs of each other's games as well. We actually joked about this before we even got here that that Andy's going to be I'm
going to find the morph ball first and all right, see you later. I'm going to Super Metroid.
Yeah, it's
we're
get to be bad. Playing completely different games than we're used to. So
that could be the case. Like, you guys don't know that you're going to do Link to the Past and you're going to do Super Metroid.
Exactly.
We don't know anything.
Depends on where stuff is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But you do have some sort of strategy for how you're going to be dividing the game up if you were to do it, however you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing that I think is really interesting about these two games, they both have pretty popular randomizers, and they're both, technically randomizable games. They have items that lock off progress, etc. But the way the items are distributed in the game seems very different. Like Link to the Past, it's pretty obvious what your required items are when you see what the crystals and pendants are, and that kind of gets locked in, and it's a very tiered kind of logic. Whereas Super Metroid, it's like, how do you know when you're in go mode? It's like, there's no one item that's like, oh, you got to have that.
Yeah.
It's like, I got a charge beam, I got enough missiles, sure, I'll go for it.
Yeah, it really depends. It's a lot less item requirements than Link to the Past is going to be. And if the situation arises, we could end up doing suitless Lower Norfair or suitless Meridia.
Yeah.
If one of the suits is on the pedestal, for instance, it might just be faster to do without a suit. So,
Okay.
It's all about what you know how to do.
How do you approach this as co-op? So a lot of people are familiar with playing the games individually, but how's your strategy in co-op?
So we, obviously the beginning is pretty straightforward for the most part.
Yeah.
There's only 2 checks you can do right off the bat in Super Metroid. Link to the Past as, all of Kakariko and whatever. So generally one of us will stay in Super Metroid, check the 2 items down there, just to cover everyone's bases. And then while someone's doing that, the other one will do the early Link to the Past stuff. And, basically by the time whoever does Super Metroid first gets to Link to the Past, they know exactly what to do for the start. And then at that point, it's just like, you do this, well, I'll do that. And then, figure out the best way to deal with what we found collectively.
Cool. Well, thanks very much, guys, for talking with me.
Yeah, of course.
And I wonder what season it is.
It's prize season.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. You can do it.
Oh, wait. It's actually prize season now, Feasel?
Yes, it can be prize season now.
Oh, I was really unprepared for that.
You better make something up, man.
All right. You know what? That's fine. It's prize season. We got this. Feasel, it's good to be here. Andy, Ivan, always good to see you too. Always good to see Super Metroid Combo Rando. It's a crazy game. I don't understand the logic behind any of it, nor do I understand the logic behind the camera work. It's all good. So guys, we got a ton of great prizes for you right now, available from now until the finale. I was going to talk about how close we were to meeting that bonus game of Ocarina of Time 80%, but you guys smashed it in like 30 minutes. So, I mean, you don't have to. We could just talk about some cool prizes. So, to give you the long and short of it, $50 minimum donation is going to get you to the most of the stuff we're talking about right now, including an amazing original banner by our own in-house artist, LOK. If you haven't seen her work, she's the one who's done all the banners that you see on Twitter, on Facebook, on the homepage. She's the artist who's done all this beautiful whitebird work behind us, as well as the creator of our new cool mascot, Velocity. So, I mean, super cool of her. Those banners are one of a kind. We print them once for every event, and that's it. So $50 minimum donation to get into that. And you also get yourself into a bunch of other really cool stuff. Like from our friend Vats of Goop, we have this beautiful Metroid print with kind of a Castlevania vibe to it of, Samus looking up at Ridley. Kind of like Simon looking up at Dracula on the original box art. I mean, I love it. It looks good. It's kind of got like a little sparkly thing going on with the
Yeah, it does.
print.
Real shiny.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So good. From friend Patty Sent, we have a beautiful diamond Zelda painting. You're going to want to head over to GamesDoneQuick.com and check out the tracker for a picture of it. It's beautiful. It's kind of like a studded rhinestone style of art. It looks absolutely amazing. It's like a stained glass picture of a young Link in front of a window with the Triforce. I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. $30 minimum donation from now until the end of the finale. Of course, from our good friend Jay Store, we have an amazing statue of Sheik, just posing, about to throw some needles. Looks super cool. It's wonderfully detailed. His work is always amazing. That's a $40 minimum donation from now until the end of the marathon. For Making It Nerdy, right above Andy over there, we have a beautiful string art piece of Navi. That thing is so cool. It's we're going to get a little closer on it. That is just like 4 pieces of string and a bunch of nails. I don't understand how you do that.
That's crazy.
But it looks really cool. That's only a $25 minimum donation from now until the end of the finale. So, hey, get those donations in. From our friend Marlo Dobb, let me just grab it real quick. Oh, don't want to. Like that. We have this beautiful framed frog print of a frog from Chrono Trigger. Love the artwork on it. Love the style. It's got that kind of like the old flat style and almost like a sepia tone to it. I love it. Looks great. $20 minimum donation from now until the end of the marathon. From our friends over at the Legends of Localization team, we have a great book, Legends of Localization Volume 2, detailing Earthbound. Earthbound, crazy RPG with a crazy story of its localization. Lots of great stuff here in this book about how things came to be. And I think my favorite kind of like Earthbound tidbit has always been the advertising. Like how they advertised it in the West as this game stinks and included like scratch and sniff cards. Because it was the 90s and you could do that. that flew. You could just be like, yeah, this game stinks. Buy it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nobody did. From our friend Eyes5, we have a beautiful little new plushie. He's been hiding behind us for most of the event. I think he's right behind Andy right now. He looks great. $15 minimum donation. Everyone loves new. Look at those soulless eyes just staring directly back at you. You want those eyes. You want to give them a hug, and you can for a $15 minimum donation. From our friend the Chain Nerd, we have this beautiful little new chainmail piece. It's just something fun to hang up somewhere and pretend you have a new when in fact you have some very ineffective armor. Maybe it could stop a really small sword or something. I don't know, but it looks great and I love it. Last but not least, we have this wonderful Samus Shine Spark print. Guys, we have so many great prizes. This, of course, comes to us from Nicholas Manzo. It's a $25 minimum bid. It looks amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really captures Samus' speed using the Shine Spark, which I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot in that combo rando.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we'll find a speed booster.
Or maybe not
Who
at all.
knows? Anyway, guys, as always, you're going to want to head over to gamesdonequick.com, check out the tracker. It's going to have all the information you need on upcoming prizes, on upcoming speed runs, the couple we have left in the marathon, and upcoming incentives that you can put your donations towards, like turning Chrono Trigger from an any percent run into that 100% run. I believe we're still about 200,000 off of making that happen. And I mean, we all want to see Feasel do 100%, right?
We
Feasel?
sure do.
We sure do. But I think that's going to be it for us. Thank you very much, Feasel, for having me here. Thank you very much, Andy and Ivan, for the interview.
Yeah.
And we're going to throw it back up to the front as we get ready for that bonus game that you guys donated for, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Any% by Torj.